Do you ever look at someone else's life and wonder what it would be like if you had chosen a different path? Do you sometimes wish you could undo your decisions and try again? Have you ever thought about how your life might have been different if you had stayed in school longer, or taken that job in another city, or never met your spouse? What would your life look like today? Are you curious about these possibilities? Everyone makes choices in their lives, big and small, that affect who they become. These decisions lead us down different paths, some smooth and easy, others filled with bumps and detours. But where do these paths lead? And are we ultimately happy with where they take us? Or do we sometimes look back and wonder about the roads not taken? This is a science-driven channel, so when exploring this topic, our first instinct might be to turn to neuroscience and psychology. What parts of the brain are involved in decision making? How do neurotransmitters influence our choices? What role does our past environment and upbringing play in shaping who we are? While these are valid and interesting questions, they don't necessarily answer the what if question. They describe our current state, our present reality, but they don't offer much insight into our past or help us visualize alternate versions of ourselves. So let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to math. There are various ways to approach this problem from a mathematical perspective. In this video, we'll use a simple branching tree diagram. Let's start at the beginning. We have one central point representing our current state. From this point, we draw branches representing possible decisions or choices we can make. Each branch leads to another central point, which represents the state we end up in after making that particular decision. For example, we can choose to stay in school longer or leave early. Both options lead to different states, which in turn create new branches. Staying in school longer might lead us to get a better job, which leads to more money, which leads to living in a bigger house. Leaving school early could lead us to travel more, start a family earlier, or live in a smaller apartment. These are just examples. The actual branches of your personal decision tree will be unique to you. Each time we make a choice, we move along a branch until we reach a new central point. Our entire life can be visualized as a massive decision tree with countless branches and leaves. Some leaves represent satisfying endings, others less so. Some lead to sudden drops or unexpected twists. Others stretch out with long winding paths. This model is obviously very simplified and doesn't account for random chance or external factors, but it serves its purpose in illustrating how our decisions shape our lives and how each choice brings us closer to one particular state rather than all the others. If we revisit any node in this tree and imagine taking a different path, the leaves we pass along the way will eventually change. We may end up in a completely different state than the one we currently occupy. The question is, will this new state be preferable? That depends on your goals and values. If more money is important to you, then the path leading to the bigger house might seem more appealing. But if having more children is a higher priority, then the path leading to the smaller apartment might seem more attractive. It all depends on what we prioritize and what we find most fulfilling. But what if we could somehow see both paths simultaneously, the one we took and the ones we didn't? What would that look like? Imagine looking into a mirror and seeing a version of yourself living out other possibilities. Who would that person be? What would they be doing? What would their life look like? Would you envy them or feel content with your own choices? Imagine a person named Eli. Eli was a young inventor who lived in a futuristic city filled with glass towers and flying cars. His days were spent inside his lab, surrounded by machines that could speak, think, and even feel. He had dedicated his life to creating artificial intelligence, spending countless hours programming algorithms and building complex circuits. He had created machines that could hold conversations, solve intricate puzzles, and even express emotions. Yet something was missing. Despite all his technological advancements, Eli felt a deep sense of emptiness inside. One day, while walking through a forest on the edge of the city, a place he rarely visited, he came across an old, cracked mirror leaning against a tree. Eli stopped in his tracks. He had no idea how the mirror got there or who had put it, but something about it caught his eye. He looked into the mirror expecting to see his own reflection, but what he saw took him by surprise. In the mirror, he saw a version of himself that seemed both familiar and strange. His eyes, usually filled with intense focus, were now bright with childlike wonder. His hands, often covered in grease and grime from tinkering in his lab, were now clean and calloused as if from working outdoors. and his face, usually creased with concentration, was adorned with a calm, serene smile. This version of Eli seemed content, at peace with himself and the world around him. It was as if the mirror was showing him a life he could have lived, a life he had never known. Confused and intrigued, Eli returned to the forest the next day, and the day after that, and every day after that. Each time he looked into the mirror, he saw a different version of himself doing something different. Sometimes he was climbing a tall mountain, his face etched with determination, and his muscles straining with effort. Other times he was helping a lost child find their way home, his tone gentle and reassuring. And sometimes he was simply sitting under a tree, planting a seed, his movements slow and meditative. With each passing day, Eli became more and more fascinated by the life he saw reflected in the mirror. It was a life filled with purpose, connection, and tranquility, a stark contrast to the solitary existence he had been living in his lab. He began to question his choices and wonder why he had dedicated his life to machines instead of experiences, inventions instead of people, algorithms instead of nature. Was there more meaning in what he was doing, or was he just chasing a mirage? As the weeks went by, Eli found himself drawn to the forest more and more. He spent less time in his lab and more time outside, exploring the world he had been ignoring for so long. He started talking to strangers, helping his neighbors, visiting museums, and attending community events. He even took up hiking, camping, and fishing, activities he had always dismissed as a waste of time. He was determined to experience everything life had to offer, not just the intellectual stimulation he had been seeking. One day, filled with excitement, he brought a friend to the forest to show them the mirror. But when he arrived at the clearing, the mirror was gone. Disappointed and confused, his friend asked, "What was it?" Eli smiled mysteriously and said, "A reminder." From that day forward, Eli continued to explore the world, embracing new experiences and connecting with people. He never forgot the lessons he learned from the mysterious mirror and the life it had shown him. He realized that happiness wasn't just about achieving intellectual milestones or creating advanced machines. It was about embracing all aspects of life, the good and the bad, the challenging and the relaxing. It was about finding meaning in everyday experiences and the connections he made along the way. Eli's story is a reminder that life is full of possibilities, and that sometimes the greatest discoveries are not made in laboratories, but in the reflection of a broken mirror in the middle of a forest. While mirrors are not typically associated with artificial intelligence, Eli's journey prompts us to consider the potential for AI to enhance our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Today, advancements in machine learning and data analysis allow us to process vast amounts of information about human behavior and decision making. By studying patterns in our choices, AI could potentially help us understand the factors that influence our actions and the consequences of those actions. Moreover, AI-powered simulations could allow us to explore hypothetical scenarios and visualize the potential outcomes of different decisions. By understanding the forces that shape our choices, both good and bad, we can work towards creating systems and environments that support better decision making. This could involve designing user-friendly interfaces that provide clear and concise information, developing personalized interventions that target specific decision-making challenges, and fostering social norms that promote positive behaviors. Additionally, by visualizing the potential consequences of our actions, we can better anticipate challenges and opportunities and make more informed choices. This can be done through interactive simulations, data-driven projections, or virtual reality experiences. As we continue to explore the intersection of AI and decision-making, we may uncover new insights into the complexities of human behavior and the factors that drive our choices. This knowledge can empower us to create better systems, environments, and technologies that support positive decision-making and help us navigate the complexities of modern life more effectively. In the end, Eli's journey reminds us that life is full of surprises and that sometimes the greatest discoveries are not made in laboratories, but in the reflection of a broken mirror in the middle of a forest.